Okay, Ray? Okay, well, good evening, folks. Welcome to the Monday, December 7th, 2015 City Council meeting. At this time, I will call the meeting to order, and I will ask Reverend Stephen Bailey from First Congregational Church to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank thee for this day and all the opportunities it presents, and pray thy blessing upon this assembled body as it deliberates. We are grateful for our community and all the people who are a part of it. Enable us to be good stewards of our resources so that they may be used to good advantage to advance the welfare of our municipality. And in this season of Thanksgiving and Christmas, grant peace and joy to all who reside here. These things, O God, we pray to the glory of thy name. Amen.
Thanks, Pastor Steve. We appreciate it. All right. So Shelley, you want to do roll call for us?
I can. Albertson?
Here.
Bueller? Bueller? Danforth? Manti? Riefenberger?
Here.
Roby?
Here.
Solem absent. Thorson absent. Tupper?
Here.
Vilhauer? Thank you.
Thanks, Shelley. I'll just put it out there. I know Brad is home ill and John is in meetings in Pierre. Just so we have an idea. This time I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion and approval of a consent agenda. I got a motion by Beth, second by Bruce. Any comments, any questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 2, I'll look for the approval of the agenda. Motion by Glenn. Second by Bill. Any questions, any changes? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, application for a new retail on-off sale malt beverage and retail on-off sale wine license to Mario Santos Guzman, doing business at San Miguel Restaurante at 715 9th Avenue Southeast. This time I will open a public hearing if there's anyone who wants to speak in favor of or against this. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. I will look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Randy, second by Bruce. Any questions?
I guess the question I've got is that current location already, you can buy wine and beer there now currently, can't you?
I think there's a change of ownership over
So that makes it a new license then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, first reading of ordinance number 15-31, supplemental appropriations for 2015. Shelley, if you want to just give us a little heads up on it, is a first reading.
I can sure do that. On this one, I gave you both what the ordinance will read, as well as a couple years ago you had asked to have the purpose and then the funding, where the funding was going to come from. So I do have that. I won't have that at second reading, but just so you can look through it and you can see the reasons that were given for that. It looks like a really big number, but a lot of this is because we refunded a bond issue. We did 2 additional bond issues, and then we created a construction fund. As you remember, most of these 3 projects were budgeted for in the second penny sales tax, and because we created that construction fund, we had to go back and get a budget back in there. So there is some impact, but not as big as what it looks like on the surface. So if anybody has any questions, you can ask them, or anytime the next couple weeks you have this information. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think I would request if you have any questions on this to give Shelley a call or stop by her office and let her be aware of that. Okay? So we will move on to Number 5, which is the first reading of ordinance number 15-32, amending the zoning district boundaries by rezoning city property from I-2 Heavy Industrial District to C1 Community Commercial District. Shane, this is also first reading, so if you want to give us a little update on what's going on.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This ordinance would be amending the zoning district boundaries for the new softball complex, the ice arena, and the soccer fields located at the south end of town. And I'm not sure that I think I have an attachment. Well, maybe not. Oh, I guess I don't. I apologize. Anyway, we want to rezone that from its current use as I-2. We want to move it to C1, which better conforms with the use that's proposed in that area. So I'll have the drawing at the second reading.
Right, and didn't we have this on the work session last time?
That is correct,
Yeah,
yep.
so everybody had an opportunity to see it at that point.
The softball or the soccer is I-1 now?
Correct.
That never was changed either at the
No,
time?
no. Any questions?
Nope, I think we're good with that. Thank you, Shane. Number 6, authorization to issue payment for the renewal of the workers' compensation policy for 2016. Shelley, if you'd like to take that for us.
I can. This is the yearly renewal for our workers' comp, and it covers our city employees, board members, any volunteers that are approved by governing bodies. Of the $335,510 that's due for 2016, $261,170 is the city portion we're talking about this evening. The rest is the utility portion that they approved by their board and pay. From last year, that's about a 4% increase. There were no increases in the rates themselves. Our discounts are about the same as they were in the past. The one thing that did change, if you look at, you'll have a subtotal and then you'll have a fund modifier of 1.0. That is basically, in a nutshell, an actuarial calculation of risk. And in the past, we've had that a lot lower. In 2013, we had a very unfortunate incident for an employee that made a significant impact. And they look at the last 3 years. And last year, that actuarial modifier was really high. And so instead of having our work comp impacted significantly last year, they broke it up into 2 years. So this is still from that. I did make a call today and talk to them. We were doing well in 2015. So hopefully, coming into 2017, then we'll start to see that go back down. But because that modifier went from 0.94 to 1, that did increase our overall what we're going to pay in premiums, so that 4%.
Can you give me some perspective on that? Where does that fund modifier on average typically go? What's the range?
We were, before this, we were at 0.85, which is we were paying 85% of the total premium. When that happened last year, we went up to the 0.94. Now we're at 1. It should have.
Most cities are close to 1.
Most cities are close to 1, yes. We do very well with our safety program. We do a really good job with the training, with following up on work comp claims, getting the right equipment that we need. And so that really helps here to keep our modifier down.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll look for a motion, a second for further discussion.
Second.
By Dan, second by Glenn. Any other questions you have for Shelley?
Shelley, this is still subject to an audit at some point then later in the year, correct? Or is this
Yep.
Okay.
This is basically an estimate. And then in April-ish or February of 2017, we'll actually get audited for our 2016 numbers. So it's after the fact. This is for 2016, so we'll go all the way through 2016, and then the following year we'll get actual numbers, and then they'll recalculate it.
what has been our audit history the last couple of
We've
years?
usually, since I've been here, we've gotten a refund, and it's anywhere from the $7,000 to $15,000 range. So we're pretty close.
What did we budget? How does this number match up with what we budgeted for 2016?
I went through and looked, and it's within, there's only 2 of them that are slightly higher than what we budgeted for, but well within what they can cover. So I looked at every individual department, and it's within, yep.
One of those increases, just to give you a little heads up, we had a new volunteer at the golf course, and kind of moved things up a little bit. Okay, Mike. So I do.
Shelley, does that, this must have a different renewal time or something. When we did the other insurance, this is being handled separately from all our liability and
It is.
property and stuff?
Yep, this is on a calendar year where everything else is renewed in August, our liability.
And,
Yep.
and Don, to your question, I think on that number, I think 1 would probably be an average, because in business, I've had it from 0.85 to 1.2. So depending on, maybe it could easily go more than that if you had something major, but it only takes one of those bigger ones to goof it all up, unfortunately.
Any other questions for Shelley on this? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 7, authorization for the fire department to accept a Homeland Security grant to replace the radio equipment in the amount of $30,979.50. Douglas, if you want to give us a little heads
Thank
up
you very
on
much.
that.
So this summer, we actually went and applied for the Homeland Security Grant. And we actually applied for 2 separate projects. The first one is the radios, portable radios and chargers, also some mobile radios. These are for the amount of $30,797.50. The new radios that we'd be receiving are Bluetooth capable to fit in with our new G1 air packs. And basically, our new style air packs don't have any cords around the face, but for the communications. So it's all going to Bluetooth. So we look at our equipment over the next few years and trying to update as much as we can through grants. And the 3 biggest pieces of equipment that we use in the fire service are these radios, the air packs, and along with our turnout gear. So the first item of this grant that we did receive funding for through Homeland Security is the portable radios. We're looking at how many of those we need over the next 5 years and continue to apply for this grant. The second part of it that we did receive funding for also was for PPE gear in the amount of $11,006.20. And there again, trying to keep ahead of the pace on our personal protective equipment. The gear has about a 7 to 10 year life expectancy. And we look at that, and we maintain it, take as good care as we can, so we don't have to replace it very often and to stay on top of it, so we can also take advantage of as many grants as possible. So the 2 of those Homeland Security grants combined are amount of $41,803.70. That is a 0 match from the city, and we would not be ordering that until into 2016. If approved. So I'm asking for your consideration to allow us to spend those Homeland Security funds.
Okay, so at this time, what I'll do, Doug, is I'll look for a motion and a second. If you would repeat that number again, maybe they can put that into the motion, the 41,000.
$41,803.70.
I would make that motion, $41,873.41.
41,803.70.
41,803.70.
Perfect. So I do have a motion on the floor. Is there a second by Mike? Any questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Can I just say I really appreciate the amount of work that all of you guys do, you and the police department and everyone else, on looking for these grants and getting these grants. I mean, they really help us as a city, I believe, continue to have good equipment, but not, continue to write big checks either. So, I mean, I really appreciate all the work you and Don and everyone else does on getting those grants.
Thank you.
Just wanted to tell you that.
Okay, thanks, Beth. Number 8, consideration of bids for the cardiac monitors and chest compressors for Watertown Fire Rescue. Doug, if you want to take a look at that.
Okay, so in 2016, in our capital improvement plan for Watertown, we had asked to standardize our care of our equipment in all 5 ambulances. And so we received funding to do that with our life pack monitors, chest compressors, and power cots. So this bid here, we went out to bid a couple weeks ago, is for 2 cardiac monitors and 3 mechanical chest compression systems. So those are basically what we would have when we would be done is 5 life pack 15s and also 5 chest compressors.
Okay, so at this time, what I'll do is I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Mike, second by Bruce. Any questions?
Doug, was this the only bid that we got?
This is the only bid that we did receive from Physio Control. This is our current equipment that we do have. We did put it out for bids and did receive just the one. It is a pretty good bid. We did compare it to normal. Also, by going out to bid now with this amount of equipment, we were able to get some special pricing through LifePack. Also, the Helmsley grant that was out a couple years ago that we did receive these other 2 chest compressors. There's some special pricing, discounted pricing that we can take advantage of. So if we approve this grant for this purchasing of this equipment, we would not order it until January by reducing the cost by bidding it out now. Also, would not receive it until about that March range to make sure it doesn't come into the equation too early in the year. So the total bid was $101,135.72. We did receive trade-in price for 2 LifePack 12 monitors that we would consider trading in. So we'd be getting $5,000 a piece for those 2, knocking it down to $91,135.72. The thing about the 2 LifePack 12s, if we did get awarded this bid, we would have 5 LifePack 15s that would be capable of transmitting to the Prairie Lakes Hospital all of our 12 leads and all these capabilities. And we also have 1 LifePack 12 that would be a spare on the shelf if anything broke down on our LifePack 15s, or if we get really busy, we can take that and throw it right in an engine and respond actually to a 6th ambulance call. So with the 5 LifePack 15s and the 1 LifePack 12 and the cost of maintenance and stuff, it's our recommendation that we do let those 2 LifePack 12s get traded in for $5,000 apiece. So with that being said, the total price of the bid would be $91,135.72, and that does come in under budget for our 2016 capital. So I'm asking for you to accept this bid for this equipment.
Doug, are all the ambulances right now equipped with LifePack 12?
We have 3 with LifePack 15 and 2.
So this would bring it up,
Yep.
so they're all
So
identical,
they'll be
so
identical.
definitely easier for the staff to be able to operate with everything that's totally identical as,
Yeah, the buttons are all in the same
Yep.
place, and the pads.
yep.
They
This
all
would give
transmit
us
to-
all, every rig would have identical equipment.
Yep.
And the newer equipment.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good point, you guys. Any other questions that you want to ask Doug?
Just to get to the monitors, the chest compressor, my sheet doesn't show any quantities on there, it's just got a total on there. So
Yeah.
would you repeat that
So
for me?
yes, so we have 5 ambulances, and currently we have 3 LifePack 15s and 2 chest compressors. And this bid here is for 2 LifePack 15s and 3 chest compressors. So if we get this bid awarded, we would have 5 on every rig. So it's 2 LifePack 15s and 3 chest compressors on this bid.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
I don't know, did you want to mention at all about the compressors, how they work? I know that we've had discussion, some of the things that you've run into. We have a couple of minutes.
Sure. Yeah, so the chest compressors are quite an impressive piece of equipment. It's probably the most advanced piece of equipment that's came out in EMS in the last couple of years. We've had quite a number of life saves. The American Heart Association has found that basically doing good chest compressions is the most the best way to save a life, more so than rescue breathing. So basically, when we put these units on, it's continuous compressions, and we can set the rate, and we get good blood flow. We've had great success with a number of life saves just off these units, and they're pretty maintenance free. So between that and the LifePak 15, we're able to do a lot more things with that unit, with carbon monoxide detection within the bloodstream, all that type of stuff. So between these two pieces of equipment, it's pretty impressive what we can do in the field. And when we send up that 12 lead right to the hospital, they're ready to go into the cath lab with that patient. They have all the information they need. So
And
it's
then
pretty
with the
impressive.
compressor, it frees up one of your EMTs.
It
in
does,
the
Two
yes, that's a
hands.
good point.
Yeah.
Frees up an EMT to do other things, get other things ready, so
Yeah.
that's a great
I've
point.
had somebody tell me that saved his life, that equipment, that they weren't getting him by themselves, that was.
Yeah, it's impressive. So,
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Okay, number 9, consideration of change order number 1 with Gray Construction for the softball complex project, increasing the contract amount by $2,965.14. And Lucas,
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you guys for
Lucas
having me.
from Helms and Associates. He is the gentleman in kind of the lead guy for our softball complex that's going on. So if you want to give us an idea what's going on.
Yeah, I guess I'm here to ask any questions you guys might have on the change order, and also to kind of give just a brief overview of the work that was constructed this fall on the softball complex south of town. I guess if we need to go over any questions in particular on the change order.
I think if you want to, just go ahead and maybe touch base on some of them,
Okay.
just give them an idea, and then,
Okay.
then I'll ask for a motion and a second for discussion, and then they can throw them at you.
Sounds good. I guess we had a couple changes. Jay DeLang and the color committee chose a few kind of upgrades, I guess we maybe call it, to the concession building, where we're going to go with a double-sided burnished block instead of a painted exterior. That was about a $16,000 ad, but we think that with overall less maintenance, that it's not only going to pop in the beginning stages, it's going to be a lot less maintenance in the future for Jay and his staff.
You know, and I'm gonna help you out on this a little bit, because I was probably working with Jay on this, because I didn't think it was right that we would go out and paint block, with paint and a brush, and all of a sudden we've got peeling going on, and this was just the right way to go.
Yes, I fully agree. Another kind of upgrade we decided, which was not a big item, but we think is going to add some good eye value out there, is we're going to copper roofing on the concession stand building, and then all of our, I think there's 7 shelters out there, along with the kiosk. It was a color that we think is going to stand out and is going to look really nice in that new complex. Kind of some other changes out there. We had a small upgrade on the colored concrete. And that only added about an extra $3,000. But we also did see some savings on this. We basically balanced the change order out. There was a small addition. Some of the savings is we're going to air drive mainly the line post on the chain link fence. That's just going to save on the labor time, and essentially we go a longer post, but we don't put them all in concrete. That was kind of a change brought over by the fencing contractor, which we felt was a smart thing to go. And we all feel that come spring, it's going to be a little bit hectic out there. If we can get one trade in and out quicker, it's going to be the best for the overall project. So we eliminated a couple inlets out there. One was kind of on the north end of the project, and we're switching out with a plastic inlet that was donated by one of the local contractors to kind of promote their product and get some plastic inlets in the project. We switched out some gate sizes from 4 foot to 8 foot, and that only added a small amount. So any questions anybody might have on
Okay,
those
so,
items?
I think what I'll do, Lucas, I will look for a motion and a second
Okay.
for discussion on this. Motion by Mike, second by Beth. Is there any questions that you guys might have for Lucas? He can give you an update on how the process went and everything also.
Yeah, I think things went really smooth. I think we're all grateful for the weather we had in October. As far as my thoughts going into it, we got more done than I think I'd anticipated, and which is good. About 90% of the dirt work is done. The topsoil is spread on about 3/4 of the fields out there, on about 4/5. The piping is essentially done, other than the storm sewer. We've got the water main in the street, about 2/3 done. The sanitary, besides the lift station, is complete. We did really good out there. We had the nice favorable weather, didn't really hit until about Thanksgiving there, so AP and Sons kind of called it when there was getting to be frost in the ground and temps in the 30s, so I think we were all very grateful for the weather we got.
Also, I think it's probably a good idea to let folks know that we still will be playing on those fields in spring of 17.
Correct.
And the seeding
Yep.
obviously will take place in the spring then.
Yep. We've stressed heavily with Gray Construction and their subs that it's going to be a little bit of a 3-ring circus out there in April, May, and June. So
Like it wasn't earlier.
that's true.
That was amazing out there.
Yeah, they had scrapers and lots of trucks out there moving dirt in a hurry, but that was kind of only one trade. I think when you have 4 or 5 different subs out there, it might get a little bit hectic, but I have a lot of confidence in Dustin and at Gray Construction to help basically oversee the project. And we are hoping to get everything grass seeded by the 1st of July and have a good stand of grass probably by September there, and with the ability to play on it come May 15th or whatever that is in 2017. So
Question on the fence, you're pulling the concrete out, so you're gonna air drive the posts. Does that mean the fence is gonna waver around in 10 years, or will it be stable?
everything we've heard, there's no variations in it. If there is, it's actually kind of a benefit. Sometimes frost does kind of move up and down those concrete chunks, and some minor adjustments can be made. And it's not every post. All your corner panels and brace panels will all be concreted in, but that will be compensated if there is some movement, and it's far easier. I mean, they actually go down deeper, probably almost below the frost line, so.
And they've had pretty good success with this over a long period of time, and other locations that have done it that way.
I know the same contractor did a big project up in Fargo. I mean, that's a couple hundred miles north of here, so I think the frost depth has to be more up there than it would be down here in South Dakota, so.
Lucas, I got a question, and maybe you explained it and I totally missed it. The biggest decrease in the change order is 53,000 and change for decorative wrought iron fence, a reduction.
Yep.
And that seemed like a huge reduction. What's the story there?
Actually, that's number 23. And if you look down at number, change order 1-4, when we spec'd out the material, we actually had a industrial grade fence. And so we actually eliminated the item and change ordered in the same fence, and that one was 47,000. So it was about a $6,000 or $7,000 savings to go to just a slightly less commercial grade fence. It was still a little bit more. Basically, we spec'd out, without my knowledge, a little bit higher quality than that was used at the zoo. They had a large fence at the Bramble Park Zoo there, and so we went with that and a little bit above. So that's about a $7,000 savings is what that is, so.
Well, thanks, Lucas. Okay, I do have a motion, a second on the floor. If there are no other questions, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Lucas.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Look forward to continuation, and we'll probably be here probably somewhere in April to hopefully have a pre-bid meeting or a pre-con meeting in the spring and get things going again, so.
I'd just like to say too, you guys, Helm's done a bang-up job. I think you guys have done a great job working with
We
this
appreciate that.
project.
I'll make sure I pass that on to
Yeah,
Bob.
Gray as well. Gray's been really good to work with too, so.
So, thank you. Have a happy holidays.
Okay. Number 10, authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with HR Green for engineering services to design, bid, and provide construction engineering services for the 2 wastewater trickling filter distributor arm rehab project. Mike, are you coming up, or is Shane taking this?
I got the specific answers if you need
Okay.
Mike-
If we have questions, we're gonna throw them at you, okay? All right.
Mike's shy.
Okay, I know. He always has been.
No, I've been told he's my wingman tonight, I guess, but, all right. So, what happened is the wastewater, plant has, multiple trickling filters, and they rotate those into service each year, and when they happen to, get around to the current, project, that, trickling filter, when it was put into operation, wasn't functioning correctly. In other words, it needs pressure to rotate the arm inside it to distribute the water over the media that's in there that grows the algae and does its job. So essentially what Mike already had engineering people on site visiting for other purposes, and they took a look at it and determined that there's a crack in the standpipe portion of it, which was relieving the pressure, and so not enough pressure was making it to the arm to turn it. And so this is a result of that inspection, is a project to rehab the standpipes of 2 of the trickling filters. There's only one that's cracked and leaking at this time, the other one's just cracked. So we anticipate the same issue will occur on that one soon. So the idea is, it's not a major fix at this time, or at least not anticipated. So this agreement would take care of preparing the plans and specifications for the repair. It would also guide the contractor through the bidding process. And along with the motion, if you approve the signature on this agreement, we'd also like to have a secondary motion that allows us to obtain quotes or go to bids, depending on what we want to go forward with, it, just to save time and not bring this issue back to you folks for authorization to bid in the future. But the estimated construction cost is anticipated to be below the $50,000 threshold for advertising. So we're hoping to get that done for that. If for some reason our quotes come in more than 50,000, then we would go to the advertisement process and redo that. So
Okay,
with-
thanks, Shane.
with
So
that-
I will, yeah, I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Bruce, second by, was you, Mike? Any questions that you have for Shane or Mike? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. You wanted all the motion in one, or do you want 2 motions? Want another, let's get it.
Whatever your
all in
preference
one?
is.
Okay, so will you put the motion, tell us how that motion's gonna read that they approved?
It'll be for the mayor to sign the agreement and then to go out for bids for the construction project.
Okay, yep, so it'll be both, perfect. Okay, this is kind of the Shane show tonight on these next 5. Number 11, authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with HR Green for engineering services for the wastewater treatment facilities biosolids disposal / digester rehab evaluation. Go ahead, Shane.
Okay, this is another project that's kind of come out of a need to revise how we currently do things. You know, the digesters, currently they take the biosolids that come out of that and land apply it on farmland that's nearby the facility in order to minimize that operation. But a portion of our land that we've utilized in the past is occupied with the new ball field facility. So that's one piece of land that's become unavailable for applying the biosolids. And then some of the other farmers in the region are using less and less of the biosolids. So what Mike wants to do is have an engineering firm come in, evaluate our existing biosolids program, and look forward to what we need to modify that to in the future. And ultimately, one of the goals would be to be able to modify the biosolids system so that he can reutilize that as ground cover at the landfill. So he would get a double use out of that process. So with that, we want to hire HR Green to provide a study that leads us down to what our best path is to handle the biosolids.
Okay, thanks,
And
Shane. So, oh, go
there's
ahead.
no advertisement on this one, right? No.
Okay,
So that'd be a future project.
okay, so at this time, I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion.
So moved.
Motion by Randy, second by Dan. Any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
Would we make that into a solid? Is that what we do? So we could dispose of it at the landfill? Is that the intention for that? And the other question I guess I'd have is, have we exhausted any possibility for additional property to spread that?
One of the
material?
things they're gonna look at is the land that's close to the facility where we can take it off the tractors, which are slower. We do that ourselves. As we get farther away, one of the things they might want to consider is contracting out the application so it can get trucked out further, because we're not aware of any farmers near us that are looking for the product. But if we can reach out further, then you're no longer hauling tankers and tractors, but you're looking at semi-tankers, which you can get up to highway speed and take the stuff a little further. What was the other part of the question, Bruce?
You would have to make this into a solid to dispose of it
Yeah,
at the landfill.
right now, we're applying about 2 million gallons a year of 3 to 4% solids, or 97, 96% water material, real close to us. And what this would do is, well, the most likely to be the most cost-effective process would be a screw press, which will take that material to either 22% solids or even as high as 90, wherever we needed to go. And there's different classes of biosolids, and there's regulated what you can do with them and how you can dispose of them. So they would look at those options and then come up with a process. It would probably be a screw press and taking it to landfill and using it for cover. Yeah, they've done that in a lot of other facilities. That seems to be something that would work for us.
What kind of an impact would that have, Mike, in regards to the longevity of a dump cell? Would that have a big impact or not?
Well, eventually, let's see, in less than 17 years, I forget the exact number now, but the landfill runs out of cover at some point. And so we will at some point be dirt poor and need to buy land to have more dirt to cover garbage, because in the landfill, you're digging a cell, you're putting in a liner, and you're putting down about 30, 35 foot of garbage below grade, but you're going up above grade about 45 feet with a layer cake. And so you run out of dirt. So this material would just add to something we could use. Also, it's a real soil conditioner and a nutrient, which helps establish vegetation. So the big thing here is sustainability. We've got it. What comes in that plant's got to go out. And land application, if we could save that, that'd be great, because it's very cost effective, but you've got to have a lot of property, and that's kind of getting hard to come by. Also, when we land apply, there are regulations that restrict us. We have to do agronomic calculations and determine how much pounds of nitrogen we can put on any particular area with that crop. And so if you're in commercial farming, you can hit a heavier dose of nitrogen by not using our product. So if we could save that, that would be something which we should surely consider, yes.
So are you
Thanks,
saying
Mike.
with all this nitrogen, we could have the most luscious ball diamond out there? Maybe not.
Well, that would be a Class A.
On the ball diamond, then.
Yeah, it would probably be
Let's just say no.
unpopular.
Put our
I'll forget
sludge
that
on
one.
the
All right,
ball diamond.
any questions for Mike or for Shane? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 12, authorization of mayor to sign an agreement with Houston Engineering Incorporated for engineering services to bid and provide construction management support for the landfill cell number 6 project. And also in this, sign a contract and go out for bids for this project. So Shane, if you'll take that.
Okay, as Mike kind of led into that with the last description. So cell number 6 is the current new cell that needs to be developed out the landfill, and Houston Engineering has been our engineer that does the work out there, and so we've done the design work and we're headed into construction of cell 6, and this contract would provide contract services or construction services through that contract with the contractor. And we also are asking then authorization to advertise for bids when we are ready. And the amount of the engineering contract is not to exceed $66,900.
Okay, so at this time, what I'll do is I'll look for a motion and a second on this. I have a motion by Mike, and that motion will include the engineering services and also to sign the contract and go out for bids for this project. And I have a second by Glenn. Any questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 13, consideration of change order number 4 with Gray Construction for the wastewater alkalinity addition project, increasing the contract amount by $10,843.
All right, this is the final line item for the work that was involved with relocating the sludge lines that were out at the wastewater plant on this project. Again, just to recap, we needed to relocate 2 sludge lines that impacted the backfill and also a roadway out there. So this is finally the change order that addresses the replacement of the pavement that goes up to that facility. So without giving any more background, the amount of the change order is an increase of $10,843, and this is again related to an enterprise fund, so there's funds available for the additional cost.
Okay, so at this time, I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion.
So moved.
Motion by Beth, second by Dan. Any questions for Mike or Shane? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 14, authorization for the mayor to sign amendment number 2 to agreement number 410511 with Austin Engineering, decreasing the contract amount $4,315.59. Shane, you want to take that one?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. This amendment number 2 deals with an older contract. This would have been in our STP funds from the DOT, which we are now transitioning to have those funds delivered to the city for us to prioritize on our own project schedule. So we had 2 projects in the system that needed to get to a certain point where we could accept the portion of work that was in process. So this project is on 10th Avenue, and what this agreement is being truncated at the end of the collection of the surveying data that was done by the consultant Austin Engineering. So basically, once we complete this amendment, we receive the surveying data for our own staff to complete, or we would at some point forward re-engage an engineer to complete the project. So this is just a end of a STP project through the state at this time.
Okay, thanks, Shane. So at this time, I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Randy, second by Don. Any questions for Shane? Hearing none, I will look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 15, consideration of bids for the 2016 petroleum products and street maintenance materials. Shane, if you want to go through that.
Well, I'll ask if there's any specific questions, but basically this is the same process that the city has done for multiple years, establishing costs for routine maintenance items that the street department uses every day, such items as crack sealing, chip sealing materials, and some other odds and ends. It does include fuels. We do, and it also includes some storm sewer pipe items. So unless there's a specific question, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Bruce, second by Beth. If you guys remember, a couple years ago, we actually were looking at the gas prices, and then we would talk about, they would give us a certain dollar amount, and that's how we went on the gas. 2 years ago or so, I think we went to this particular process and just said they're going to give us 6 cents off per gallon on our fuel. It's worked out really well. As gas has gone down, it's worked well for us that way. Otherwise, we would have been stuck at a much higher price. So it was a good move by the council at that time, I think. Good move for all parties. It is. Any questions? Hearing none, I will look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Shane. Todd, I seen you come in. Number 16, consideration of bids for an airport vehicle. Todd, you are up. You look sharp tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're looking good.
Yeah, we got two bids. We went out for a pickup. We got two bids, one from Sharp Chevrolet and one from Watertown Ford. Watertown Ford came in the lowest, so I would recommend that vehicle.
Okay, so what I'll do, Todd, I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Mike, second by Glenn, was it? By Glenn. Any questions that you have for Todd on this?
That price the Watertown Ford gave us is actually really, really close to the state bid price
I think he wants one bid.
for the same pickup. So.
Did you say there were two vehicles you were getting, or just one vehicle, two bids?
One vehicle, two bids.
Okay.
Correct. Unless you want to buy both.
Randy, are you going to,
Yes, I will ask to recuse myself from this vote, conflict of interest. So.
okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Todd, could you give us a little update on what's going on at the airport?
I can.
With the ADI.
Yes. So we're in a the federal government came back. Federal DOT came back and said that ADI is financially fit. So they are in a 2-week comment period right now. That ends this Thursday. So once that ends, they will be formally a commercial airline. So I know Pier has a meeting Thursday afternoon to discuss what options they're going to do as far as accepting ADI or going back out for bids. They will have the DOT available that day as well to discuss that option. So,
Do we have any inclination of where Pier's at? Do we know? Do we have an idea what direction they'll probably go or not?
I would say ADI is their route.
That's something different, Todd. I mean, you go ahead, if that's something
Oh.
different, you go ahead and, I'm just getting ready.
Everything hints towards Pier going with ADI. There might be a formality as far as the DOT is concerned for going back out for bids because the bid that Pier has currently is for a Nebraska site and Pier. So the only,
What is that?
what is that?
Yeah.
In the RFP, when Pier went out for their request for proposals, it came back from ADI. It included a Nebraska town and
Connecting
Pier.
point with
Yes.
like Watertown Pier to Denver. They had Pier, I believe Scotts Bluff.
Yeah, and Scottsbluff, got rid of Great Lakes Aviation, and they've got somebody else in there at this time.
Correct.
So we're excited, and then maybe give them just a little heads up that you're going to try to bring them into town and just give us a little tour.
Yeah, I requested from the vice president, Mickey, who was on the telecom that night, to have a fly-in with the jet. We're hoping sometime February, March timeframe before they fire up. And we'll be hopefully giving away some tickets, have the radio out there, have the public come out and tour the plane. And maybe a ticket sale that day, so.
Yeah, so we're excited. Well, thank you, Todd. Unless there's something else you wanted to throw at the guys,
That's
everything's
it.
good? Perfect.
Thank you very much.
All right. I have a couple old business items. I want to show one that's on the screen right now. This here, just to give you a little idea, First Trust built this up. Can you zoom in on that just a little bit? Well, I guess it's okay. That'll work. The lighter blue is the 35-mile radius that we had talked about at the last council meeting, approved for employees. The darker blue is the 15-mile. It is surprising how far 35 miles goes out as the crow flies. You're talking, takes in Webster, takes in Clark, it takes in just a whole lot of area. And I just want to throw that at you and let you see what's going on. Brings in Millbank in the 35 miles.
Bring that up a little more, please. That's it, huh? Bring it out. It's no big.
What do you want to see, Bruce?
Yeah.
Oh. No, I just want to, yeah, this is just an FYI. I just want to show you what it looks like so we can get it out of there. All right.
It pretty
That's
much,
kinda what it's
that
gonna
pretty
look
much
like.
just takes us right up to the Minnesota border, it looks
Yep,
like.
yep. This is the decision that we made on the 35 miles and the 15 miles. That's what it's going to look like, and just wanted you to, just an FYI. All right, let's ditch it. No problem, man. Anytime. Love you too, Bruce. So let's bring, Spencer, have you got that other one that I wanted to bring up? Yep. Okay, you want to bring that up on the screen for me?
You switch back to the other input? Switch to the other input.
Okay. Yeah, this is a question I think that has been asked by folks. I was in a meeting the other day, and it seemed like there was confusion about what all the city has in city funds. And if you take a look, the general fund has $8.3 million in the general fund. The special revenue fund is $18.1 million. And if there's questions that come up on this, I want, Shelley is there to answer. And then the next one will give us some more information. But the construction fund, which is only one in there, and that, of course, is the $30 million that went in. We've had some expenses that have come off already on the Watertown Community Center. The enterprise funds is $23.8 million. Out of that $23.8 million, if you can go to that next page for me, Spence. No, I want to see more. There you go. Let's just bring it all up there. If you take a look at the $75.8 million that the city is in charge of, $18 million is of the Municipal Utilities Fund. That's what they currently have in unrestricted funds. The city itself has $42.7 million, which are all in restricted funds. This is for the community center, all listed under there, the capital improvement, the BBB tax, the library fines, watershed project, debt service, casualty reserves, construction funds, agency funds. That is what we cannot touch at any given time. Intended for limited purposes, these are your funds, our sewer funds, our solid waste funds, park and rec, of $6.8 million. The general fund balance, which I think we're in just fabulous shape, is $8.3 million. I just wanted to be clear to folks that Watertown doesn't have $75 million that they can just go out and spend recklessly. This is all dollars that are restricted and they're earmarked for certain things. So that's kind of where we're at. I just wanted to touch base on that. If you have questions about what's up there, Shelley's here to answer any questions. $8.3 million. That's what I just said, Bruce. Yes, you did. Are there any questions on that? Okay.
Shelley, what does the intended for limited purpose mean? What is?
It just means it's less restricted by law than your other funds. They're special revenue funds that generate kind of partially their own revenues, and then they're partially subsidized. So as a city council, you have a little bit of leeway on how much you restrict those funds and what you do with them and how you appropriate them, more than you do for like the BBB, which is specifically set by state statute, what you can use them for, where you can put them, that type of thing. So you have a little more leeway, but they're still, as part of being a special revenue fund, they do have some strings attached to them.
Yeah, these were good slides that were produced for us. I appreciate that. Okay, any other questions on that? Is any, thanks guys. Is there any old business that needs to be discussed?
I do have one thing, just a question. The sidewalks on 19th Street. I had about 4 people just today. Of course, it's all people I work with that live up in that part of town that like to walk. We got all those new sidewalks up there, and they're about half of them are shoveled and half of them aren't. Now, who's Is that property owner responsibility?
Yes.
Yes. And I think it's probably a lot of property owners that have never had a sidewalk before to shovel
That's correct.
that aren't really aware of it, so,
I-
you know, in all fairness to them, let's try to be nice and make them aware of it without going up there.
I think there's some other issues though too. There's a bunch of them now that have two sidewalks. that
Got
they
a
have
front
to
and a
do.
back, yeah.
And I don't know, that's kind of a burden that's beyond for everybody else. I don't know how we want to handle that or if we can do anything like we do on 81 or something, but yeah, that's gonna be an issue apparently. This first
That was-
snowfall showed it up.
When we had our meetings, pre-construction meetings, and that was the number one issue that kept coming up. Because a lot of those people have no means to get their, let's call it a snowblower, to the back. So they gotta literally, like the one gal that was there, she says, I gotta literally go a half a block, and it might have to be in the street, and then I got to go a block and back a half a block with my snowblower just to get to my property, to blow my snow. And that's the case with a number of them up there. And in fairness, we did say that at that time it was their responsibility, which made none of them happy, which I don't blame them, and that it would go to, that we would have discussions on that. So I believe we really do need to have discussion on
And I
it.
think maybe what we should do is put that on our next work session and discuss that, because there shouldn't be any snow in the next 2 weeks, is what I've been told.
If not, Mike, you got a shovel, don't you? That Steve can borrow?
Just curious, what kind of comments in general did we receive as far as snow removal last week?
I got a couple. I'd like to just share a little information that might be valuable to our listeners as well as you folks. The snow gates, the word on the street is, hey, who gets the snow gates? Why am I digging this big windrow into my driveway? And so I talked to Rob a little bit because I didn't have the answer to those questions for these folks. And apparently, we have the one, correct? We have one snow gate, and the other one's the one we ordered with the grader, which is not going to be here till, I think, mid-January. But I also learned that the snow gates, if the snowfall is greater than 6 inches, it overflows over the top of the gate. So they're not very effective in anything over 6 inches. The other thing that can be an issue is if it's wet snow, it sticks to these things, and then that causes problems with effectively keeping it out of the driveway. But that's something I learned. I think it's probably good for folks to know. And at this point in time, and maybe Steve, you can enlighten us. I don't know who's going to get the snow gates and who's not. But those are the questions that I'm getting.
One of the issues that we've had with the snow gates is in the areas of town where there's low-hanging trees. When they go over next to those, last year was the first time we did that with a grader, and we did have some broken windows and things like that and mirrors because of those trees. I think the trees need to be worked on, and we will have the forestry department work on those trees. But the reason that's more in the older part of the neighborhoods, and like it or not, that is causing us dollar issues. So they need to be trimmed up, and that's probably why you're seeing the snow gate in town, parts of town that isn't so old. Yeah. So.
But again, to address the question of, I understand there are areas like Pheasant Ridge maybe is one area where they are using the current one.
I
There
don't
are
know
some
where
areas-
Rob
Okay.
has
Because the
used
question
them.
is, do we get it or don't we get it in our neighborhood?
Didn't Rob say a while ago, a couple of meetings ago, that it was going to be used randomly in different places in town? There wasn't going to be a set pattern or set in place. It was going to be used randomly. And I believe that's how it's going to get used for a while.
And until we get the other, 3, 4 of them that can work, because always, if you remember right, we always had a road grader in the middle and then the truck on the side, and with the snow gates, we can't use the truck on this side. I would also like to comment on Sioux Falls. They have, I think, what is it? It's about 20 snow gates on plows. They busted 4 of them, and at $5,000 a piece, they did have an additional cost of around $20,000 for snow gates. So we made the decision, or Rob did, that they were not going to use the snow gates at this heavy snow, and I think it was a good call.
Yeah, and I think that's gotta be his discretion. I mean,
It
that's,
is,
there is
yeah.
no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, we can't be ripping up equipment just because.
Yeah.
And that's when the people want their driveway cleaned the most, but
I will tell
It's
you,
just-
the only real complaints that I got from folks, and I had 2 or 3 of them from uptown that they're very upset that they had to wait till Wednesday morning to get their snow removed. I think they wanted it, I'm thinking I got the right dates, it was either Tuesday morning or
it was Wednesday morning, yeah.
We always had the policy in place that the first thing we do is we do our emergency snow routes. Once we get those done, then we move around to the schools and get those done. Then at that particular time, we start avenues or streets, whatever day we're on. Then it allows the uptown people to shovel the sidewalks, shovel it and put it out in the street. Then we will come in the morning. We started at, I believe it was 2:30 or 3
2 a.m.
o'clock in the morning. We put the snow to the side. We used 2 types of equipment to pick it up. We had one was the auger, and the other one was the snow blower, the big one. That was amazing to see that go. They had that uptown done by noon, which was a lot of snow moved. So they actually had, in a snowfall of 8 inches, heavy snow, it was record time of 37 hours. It's what it took them to get the snow removed. I thought it was an incredible job.
My hat's off to the street department and, of course, you yourself, Mayor, for getting on the media and talking to people about removing vehicles from downtown. There was 2 tickets that were issued. The street
No.
department did not have any issues going curb to curb.
I think we had 80 tickets issued.
I'm talking about downtown,
Pardon me?
just downtown.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
There was only 2 issued downtown,
Yep.
which is amazing. People did listen and get their vehicles off the street. Rob said it was great, so hats off to police department and street department for working together on
Yeah,
that. So.
and there was 80 tickets overall within the city of Watertown that were done. I would expect that number to go down dramatically next time. Any new business that you need to discuss?
I wonder if we can get that committee on the smoking thing
I didn't hear you,
scheduled. A committee on the smoking and the casino issue that we had established. We haven't had any meeting on that. I would like
We
to
haven't
see.
had a meeting on it yet. Just to give you an idea, we did have an issue last week, which was quite surprising. Doc's Bar, which has a smoke shack attached to his building, but no entrance into the shack, and you have to go outside. There's no machines in there or anything for that matter. It was just it's a little place to go in and have a beer and a smoke. You can take your beer in, and there were people in there, and for some reason, some of our guys went in and decided they wanted to give some tickets. So they did issue some warning tickets, 1 or 2 or 3, I'm not sure what it was. But when I talked to Lee was a bit surprised because he said that's really probably one of our best smoke shacks out there that are according to regulations. So, yeah, whenever you want to get it together, we can certainly
Yeah,
get it together.
I
and
think
start
it'd be nice
talking.
to establish what criteria that we think that they should use, and that, I don't think that was the right way. I mean, it's
No.
nothing against anybody, but I think we need to
Yep.
establish that and then put some teeth in whatever we're gonna do, after we bring it back to the council and have some
Yeah.
talk about that.
We did have I had a conversation with Schoenbeck and Solom and Reed the other day in the office, and we talked about it. And, you know, if they're gonna have a rule out there or a law that they're putting out there, they need to have some kind of, they kind of have thrown it back at the city and said, here, guys, you just take care of it.
Well, the state made a law and then they didn't put any teeth in it.
That's right.
You know, it's a petty offense. I'm sure.
$25. No,
$25.
But
So,
I think,
yeah, we
I
could
think
do
we have
that.
some
I'll-
latitude if we wanna go
I
after
can get
that, so.
done.
Bruce, I understand that you're on the agenda for the Snowgate in 2018 for your place.
Nice. Quickly, any liaison member reports?
Actually, I do. I got 2 quick reports. You probably saw on the newspaper that the municipal utilities, the rates for 2016, the average consumer will probably see a slight decrease in their bill. There were a couple increases in the water and electricity, but offset by a fairly large increase in natural gas. So that was good news to the average consumer. Second report is the Upper Big Sur River Watershed Project. Tomorrow's kind of a critical day for them. They're having their grant renewal application organization hearing out in Pier, and there's, I think, 3 or 4 of us going out for that. That'll determine the future of that organization the next 3 years. We're applying for a $512,000 grant, so that's a critical hearing tomorrow. So I think Roger's cautiously optimistic that it will be approved, but it still have to go through the process, and so there's a contingent of us going out for that hearing tomorrow.
Thanks, Glenn. Executive session, I do need to go into executive session. It's not going to take very long. I do not expect anything to come out of this. There should be no action. So I would ask for a motion, a second, to go into executive session. Motion by Mike, second by Bruce. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? We are in executive session.